Hello everyone, I'm Mark Suxford and I want to welcome you all to my new podcast called People Behind Brands, brought to you by Making Websites Better. Throughout the series, I'll be opening up my little black book of contacts where I'll be joined by an inspirational guest from the world of business, getting to the bottom of what made them so successful. In each episode, I'll be touching upon the highs and the lows that every professional has faced along the way. To never miss an episode, subscribe to our exclusive content now and follow us on our social media platforms. People Behind Brands. Life lessons from the world of business. If you'd like to get your hands dirty and tap into your feel-good vibes, this episode is the one for you. A passionate creative small business owner, our next guest, Lizzie Croucher of croucherli, is all about wearing a smile in more ways than one. As a ceramic artist, Lizzie specialises in making pottery come to life, letting her work do the talking. During our chat, we also touched upon her own life lessons as she speaks fondly of her family and how they've been a constant support and driving force behind a successful venture to date. It's time to get creative. Lizzie, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Really good to have you on. So Lizzie joins us today to talk about her life centred around her ever-growing independent business as a ceramic artist based in Essex. Croucherli, as she's known to her loyal customers, an army of over 4,000 Instagram followers, specialises in hand-thrown pottery with unique personalities. All pieces are made directly by Lizzie, where she has won rave reviews and single-handedly turned her passion into a career since November 2020. So Lizzie, first question, take us back to where Croucherli began and the company journey so far.
Yeah, that was quite an introduction. Thank you. I mean, I guess it is with most businesses, kind of the company or the business kind of starts and there's kind of a certain date where you kind of say, yes, my books are open. Yes, my orders are open and things like that. But I guess it starts even kind of all the way back to when it just becomes an idea in your brain, I guess. So as a business, as in I kind of started selling officially, it was back in 2019 via an Etsy shop. So I don't know if you've heard of Etsy before. Yeah. So for anybody that hasn't, it's like a marketplace. It's almost like a search engine for independent makers and small businesses, particularly creative businesses. And when I launched the business and started kind of selling seriously, I call it, I was still working a full-time job. So it feels strange to say I kind of started my business in 2019. It feels like it actually only really started when I decided to go full-time in it last year. But as I said, a kind of a business starts, I guess, when you have the idea or you have kind of you realize you want to pursue the passion. And that actually started in 2010. So it's been a long time coming. So I actually started working with ceramics when I was at university. I worked at a pottery painting cafe. I don't know if you've ever been to one of those.
Yeah, I have been to one actually. They're quite fun actually.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. So I started working at one of them in London when I was training to be a dancer. I needed some money on the side, kind of as a part-time job. So I was decorating ready-made pieces. Sorry, I was decorating ready-made pieces and just selling them to friends and family or giving them as gifts. And I loved that creative outlet, and it was different to what I was studying and training to be. And when I left that job and moved out of London, I thought maybe I'll start actually making pottery from scratch. So on the potter's wheel, which is what I do now. And I picked myself up and moved to Ipswich for a job in 2016. Didn't know anyone. All I did was work, and I just thought I need to do something to escape from my full-time job and to meet people. Yeah. So I took part in a 6-week hand throwing course, so a making pottery from scratch course with a local artist in Ipswich. And I think from my first session, it just clicked for me. I mean, I wasn't very good at it because it was my first ever go, but I thought this is something I really, really enjoy. And at the time I was like, I want to pursue it as a hobby and see where it goes. Yeah. And then kind of 3 years of kind of building on that, kind of teaching myself new techniques. I decided to have an Etsy shop in 2019. And I had that all the way up to April 2020, when obviously in the middle of the pandemic, I decided for some reason to move off of Etsy and make my own web shop.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of based completely in my own space now, and have been since April.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so
we'll come on to obviously how COVID sort of impacted the business a little bit later on, but I mean, just talk to us about some of the designs you make and the types of customers that, you know, that find you and buy your products.
yeah, so the types of designs I make, I guess the type of work I make, because with ceramics and clay, there are so many different ways you can work with the material, I think, which is why I love it so much. The majority of my work is hand thrown on a potter's wheel. So everything I make has a functional and everyday use. I think that's why I love what I do, because I can make things with my hands and sell them to people and they use them and love them every day. So I make things like mugs, plant pots, incense burners, things like that. I also, things that I don't make on the potter's wheel, I only have a very kind of small selection, but I make small items called peace pebbles. So they're little pocket-sized kind of comforting items that are helpful for people with anxiety, or people that kind of just need a little bit of a calming moment. So I also sell those on the side, which again are functional and are things to use every day. In terms of my audience, I haven't really done much investigation into kind of my demographic or my audience, so I can't really define them. I guess it's just people who kind of smile when they see my work, or they're looking for like a quirky one-off gift for someone. So I guess it could be anybody, which is great.
I think I know for a fact, you know, my missus, she's got you know, a couple of your pots and incense burners and stuff like that. And
amazing.
So they're really nice products, and I think they're very unique in terms of, I know she's got one pot that's got a really big sort of smiley face on it, and I think those things are just really nice to sort of see when you wake up to them, because she's got them on her bedside table. So, you know, those sort of things are, you know, just nice to sort of wake up to in the morning, I suppose. So but yeah, as with any industry, starting out and making a name for yourself is always tough. So how would you say you're different to anyone else making pottery, however big or small they may be? But, you know, what would you say is croucherli's USP?
Oh, I think my USP, I think I've only really just found it recently. And I think that would be that everything has a face on it. So I didn't always make face pots. I really made the switch to go exclusively items with faces on it in the last year, I think. And I mean, for me, that was simply because I was looking at work I was making that was faceless, and it wasn't making me smile as much. And I just thought, I'm going to switch and see how it goes and test the waters. And that seems to have been the pinnacle for me, and kind of the turning point that my business seems to have just kind of shot up and grown, which is amazing. I think another USP I have is that everything I make is a one-off, but there's a general theme, which I guess is a USP for lots of businesses. Sorry, it's a USP for a lot of businesses. But my work is playful and minimal, but everything is a one-off piece. So that can be from the way the face is placed, the glaze style, if I put any patterning on it. So I kind of just decorate things as I see fit, or as I see would suit the piece. And I also have a wholesale offer too. So I sell small business to small business. So I kind of have like a 3-part USP, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the last 18 months have been somewhat of a challenge for many business owners. However, it was during this time that you mentioned that you took the step to start Croucherli. So talk to us about that kind of decision.
Yeah, so kind of when the pandemic hit, I would say maybe midway through my plan to take this full time. So as I mentioned, I kind of decided to start my business formally, I guess, when I was working full time. And my plan was to scale that back. So go from full-time job with ceramics in the evening to a part-time job with ceramics a couple of days a week, and then scale that back. So at the time the pandemic hit, I was a freelance gallery technician. So I was actually the head art technician at the local gallery in Colchester, where I'm based.
Okay.
So I was kind of scheduling, booking technicians, and kind of on the ground setting up exhibitions, which was a job I loved, and I did it freelance, and it was amazing. So at the time I was doing that, and so the technician work was kind of 3 solid weeks of work, 5 days a week. And then I'd have maybe a couple of months off where the exhibitions were going. So I would focus all that really solid time on making my ceramics and selling. But obviously when the pandemic hit, the gallery work stopped completely because everything shut down. So the decision was kind of partially not by choice, but partially just I needed to grab that opportunity when it came to me.
Yeah.
I was lucky at the time that I could still work out of my studio. Last year I was in a shared studio, but had like a small section at the back, like a small room. And because I was a volunteer working there, I still had access to all my equipment in my private room, which was a lifesaver, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'd been building up to full-time ceramics for a while, but I think the pandemic, as awful as it has been, it gave me that kind of push off the edge to take the leap kind of when I was at that point. And now looking back, I was at that point where it was viable.
Yeah.
I still have the gallery work I'm still on the books as a freelance technician. So I kind of still have that flexibility, which is amazing. But my workload now and the workload back in April last year was already kind of a full-time job making and selling ceramics. So the decision was already made for me, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you've obviously referenced COVID there, but I mean, for you personally, rather than the business, how much of an impact did it have on you and your family over that time?
I mean, I'm based up in Essex, and the majority of my family are down in Kent. And it's about an hour and a half drive to my family. So I've always been a home bird. I've always seen my family as often as I can. Sometimes when I was studying in London, I'd go home pretty much every weekend to see them. I love my family. I'm a big family person, such a home bird. And that time when I couldn't see my family, it was a fair portion of time. I think it was about a year I didn't see them. And I have a sister that's based overseas as well. Right. So personally, for me, I found that the most challenging aspect personally, but the power of the internet has obviously helped a lot for lots of people. So video calling and things kind of really saw me through those times. I think speak to anyone, it was such a difficult time, and still is a difficult time to navigate, I think. But I think I just had to learn to kind of drop everything, particularly with the way that growing my business is such a challenging time. I think I just had to learn to just be patient with the process. And just drop everything and just go with it. Day to day it would change. So
it sort of sounds like, obviously with Croucherli, you've been so busy and you've had that time to, make the business more successful in a way, and obviously start it up really. But it's also the family element as well, and we are trying to sort of guide through it even now. But it's a case that, family element, we've spoken to so many people that, the family element is a strong thing for lots of people there, so especially during these sort of harsh times. But I mean, the aim of this podcast is to delve deeper into the background and personalities of people behind their brands. So talk to us about what you're all about and the network of family and friends that have been your biggest fans throughout.
So as I just said, I'm really close with my family. We're kind of a close-knit family of 5 of us, and my sister has 2 children as well, so they're 3 children. Sorry, I'll say that again. Let me say that again. Gosh, I forgot she had a 3rd child. So as I said, I'm part of quite a close-knit family. So there are 5 of us. Obviously, mum and dad have 2 sisters, and then my sister has 3 children as well. And they have been such a support network for me. It was a bit challenging at the start, I think. Particularly the way my career path has gone, kind of what I've wanted to pursue. It's kind of not been what you would define as like a mainstream career. I've always wanted to do something creative, which is challenging to try and pursue as a profession. And I've taken a couple of twists and turns, and my parents have kind of rolled with it. And then when I said to them, I'm gonna make pottery full time, I think that was difficult, mainly because I obviously was no longer living at home, and I was I was working a full-time job, which obviously was keeping my bills paid and my rent paid. And then I think the decision to go self-employed was hard enough. But to say I'm going to completely put all my eggs in one basket, I think that was difficult for my parents, my family to accept in a way.
Yeah.
But I think I just needed to take the leap and show them.
Yeah.
And once I did that, and once things picked up, I mean, they've always been huge supporters and supporters of my work. My mum's got so many pieces of mine from the last 10 years in her house. But I think once they kind of saw that I took the leap and it worked, they're kind of even bigger fans of me now, which is amazing. So yeah, my network of family and friends are definitely my support system, I would say.
Yeah. So in terms of challenges you've faced in your personal life, what have been some of these? And, you know, is it kind of changed your outlook on life? And, you know, has it sort of led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I think one part of my personality that's always been there is I have always been a perfectionist, so to the nth degree. And I think as much as that can serve you in terms of keeping you motivated and keeping you striving and setting goals more and more and kind of moving the goalpost once you achieve, that can really be a challenge when things don't go to plan. And I think with starting your own business, and particularly in the creative sector, things can really ebb and flow, and things really don't go to plan sometimes. And you've just got to use your creative problem solving, your creativity to kind of pull yourself out of that. But when you've got the perfectionist trait, it can be so difficult because you've got an idea in your head of what something's going to look like.
Yeah. And
when it doesn't quite match up, it's a real challenge to kind of turn it around and to get your headspace in the right place. I'm slowly learning to let go of the idea of perfection. I think particularly when it comes to something like working with clay, it has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time things don't go to plan, whether that is I'm making a large order and I have to make more because of kind of things that have gone wrong in the making process. A lot of it is left up to things like putting things in the kiln, and sometimes the kiln goes wrong, sometimes just things inexplicably happen. So I think I'm learning to let go of the idea of kind of perfection and kind of wanting to get to that stage, but learning to keep that drive to produce things, particularly because I feel like I want my work to serve people positively, things that people can use every day and can make them smile when they don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And that's almost kind of my idea of perfection in my business is just being able to make things that make people smile. And that, as simple as that is, that's something that definitely keeps me going and has kind of led me to where I am today.
We've heard in terms of what is unique about croucherli as a business, but, you know, what is unique about you as a person?
I mean, I thought about this question a lot because I don't often think positively about myself in a way. As long as much as my work is positive, I think I find it difficult to reflect on myself as a person. I kind of talk about my work a lot, and talk about the fact that obviously it comes from one singular person. That's an amazing thing that one person can build a business. But in terms of thinking about me as a unique person, I find that quite challenging. I mean, everyone is unique in a way, I guess, because it's the combination of our experiences, our likes, our dislikes, our challenges, things we love, things we hate. I think it's the combination of all those things that make us unique. So I guess the interesting thing about me is that I'm quite eclectic in what I like and don't like and what I do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So my background is has always been kind of creative. So in kind of dance and art, and I've trained to be a yoga teacher as well in the pandemic, which is amazing that I managed to do that in kind of a space where I couldn't see anybody. But I'm also not afraid to get my hands dirty. So my technician work involves a lot of kind of building and construction work. So I think it's kind of not opposites, I'd say, but it's two things that don't usually marry together. And I kind of have a spectrum of hobbies and things I enjoy. So I could be making something out of clay and watching a streamer on YouTube play Call of Duty. It's those things. I feel I have quite an eclectic range of things I really enjoy that I've obviously picked up throughout the different jobs I've had and different experiences I've had. So I guess that's what makes anybody unique, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the next chapter or the big plans for the future? I mean, the country is sort of starting to open up now with the back of COVID sort of thing, but we've still got a long way to go. But what are you kind of hoping to achieve, for the future?
I mean, I have literally just in the last month moved out of the shared space I was working in and moved into my own home studio, which is something I just didn't even think would happen in the next 5 years, let alone now. We've kind of built a DIY studio in my garage, and that's where I now work. So that's kind of a chapter that's still unfolding. I'm still kind of getting used to working from home and how my space can work for me efficiently. And I think when I've reached that point, I think my next step is to hopefully offer workshops.
Yeah.
My space is quite small, so it would probably be 1-to-1 or two people. But I would love to kind of open out my process in that way, so people can come and actually enjoy making things with me. I'd love that.
Yeah.
So that's my next big step, I think. I have a couple of things in the pipeline in terms of products, and I think I've been putting them off for a while because I've had my last space was quite small and compact, and I had a bunch of other things I was doing alongside pottery. So I have some other things in the pipeline in terms of maybe having a subscription box for people who kind of want to kind of pay a subscription, have something every other month, and just a couple of new products that I'm going to keep quiet about for the moment, but hopefully will be in development. So kind of a way to maybe expand a new audience.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. So if there was one life lesson you could give to your younger self or someone listening that can learn from your experiences, what would you say it was?
I would definitely say in any process, whether it's doing budgets or making things or marketing, any aspect of a business or any aspect of a job, is to kind of play more. That sounds a bit counterintuitive in some things like a budget, but to kind of find the fun and find the joy in it. I think if I didn't push myself to find that, I think I'd be really burnt out by now, because things have been so busy for me. Some days I've been working 7 days a week, or I'm in the studio 6 days, and then I'm off to a market for Sunday, which is what I did last week. So I think just finding the joy in the small things and making the journey more enjoyable for yourself, because some things are just so, for me anyway, are so difficult and boring. Like the finance side, I really struggle with numbers and the finances behind my business. So just kind of once you've done something small, giving yourself a little pat on the back or a little break. And I think my whole USP came from being playful and playing around with clay, because they've all got silly smiley faces on them. So I think finding the joy in the art form or whatever you're doing is really important.
So yeah, Lizzie, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you and get to know you. So thanks for coming on and sharing your life lessons with us on the podcast. So this is now your opportunity to tell our listeners where they can find croucherli online and some of the pottery on offer.
Yeah, so I have a website that has my shop on, and that is www.croucherli.co.uk. Croucherli is all one word. So I have the main bulk of what I offer is I have monthly shop updates with a batch of maybe 60 pieces every month, and it's all different. It's always different. So that's where you'll find that. But in terms of kind of updates and behind the scenes and knowing about when those shop updates are, I think my Instagram is the go-to. So my handle is croucher.li. So croucherli with a little dot in the middle. I also have a Facebook as well, which you can find me just croucherli, all one word.
Great, excellent. So People Behind Brands is available on all good audio platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, and many more. Keep up to date with our new and existing episodes via social platforms at Podcast PBB. New episodes are released every Wednesday. So join us next time for a brand new episode. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you Lizzie Croucher.
So that's it for this episode of People Behind Brands. I'd love to hear from you all, so if you want to get in touch, follow us on our social media platforms. If you like what you heard, please rate and subscribe to our exclusive content now. Join us next time for a brand new guest on the podcast as we explore yet more life lessons from the world of business. We'll see you soon. Ta-da!